I know it's been a difficult season for most of us through the year due to the pandemic, and may have been affected in one way or the other at a personal level, at a business level. And that may also have affected our engagement. We would have loved to have a physical meeting, but because of the current situation, we were not able to do so. But I think it's still a good time to meet with you as our registrars and to discuss a couple of things. We have had a fairly good year so far, despite the pandemic. And we just want to have an overview of where we have been and also look into where we want to go to as from next year and also for the remaining months of the year. And therefore, as a secretariat, we are glad that you have been able to join us for this meeting, and we hope to have a very open discussion. This meeting is really yours. We just would like to hear more from you, informing us of areas that you wish KeNIC would handle maybe differently, areas where we've done well, and areas where we think we can collaborate more so that we grow the .ke domains. We therefore like to officially open this meeting, and feel free as the discussion is going on. You can, if you have any questions, you can raise them on the chat box, or as the meeting progresses, you're free and you'll be queued. You can raise your hand, and if you have any questions, and raise it. We'd like to hear your voices also. So without further ado, I think I'd just like to officially open this meeting and hand it over to our CEO. My name is Paris Onyambu. Sorry, I think I didn't introduce myself. My name is Paris Onyambu from the marketing department. And we have the secretariat team here we have Hilda Maina from the finance department. We have Joseph Mara, who will also be speaking to us at some point. But right now, I'd like to hand over the meeting to our CEO, Mr. Joel Karubiu, who will be leading us through this session. Welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Paris, for that introduction. I'll not repeat too much of what you said, but I'd like to welcome all of you again to this registrar meeting. Basically, as Paris has said, it's just to ensure that we are engaging with our key stakeholders and everyone who's involved in the domain ecosystem, and just to make sure that we understand some of the challenges that we may be facing. We also want to update you on some of the things that the organization is doing, especially when we're looking at support for you. So we want to have a very interactive, about 1 hour, just giving and sharing thoughts. As Paris said, this should have been a physical meeting that should have met, and we are very happy to host you, but in the prevailing circumstances, this will be a challenge. But again, we just look forward to engagement. So we'll try and, I'll just read out sort of like how the agenda looks like. So we'll just have opening remarks from our board member, Mr. Kimathi Kamunde, who also doubles up as the chair of the marketing committee, where a lot of the discussions that we do about registrars happen. Then I'll give a few updates on some of the initiatives that we are trying to take up. Then I'll invite my team members from technical, finance, and marketing also, just to give some highlights on some of the things we've done in the course of the year and some of the things we are thinking going forward. So I would suggest maybe as we go along, if there are any questions, any comments, put them in the chat box. If you need to get an audience, please use the raise your hand function, and we shall give you the opportunity. So just before I come back, I'll invite Mr. Kimathi Kamunde to just share a few opening remarks as a member, as our shareholder from Drake, and also the chair of our marketing committee. Mr. Kamunde, karibu sana.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Joel. Welcome all registrars, and thank you, the KeNIC Secretariat, led by the CEO, Mr. Joel, for convening this meeting. And I would like to share a few slides as I welcome everybody. Definitely, we've not had this for quite some time, as the marketing manager said earlier, because of the COVID pandemic. And I want to say big kudos to all the registrars out there for standing in the space, to promote .ke, and we've ensured, even with the pandemic and the crisis that we're in, we have put .ke in the front banner. I believe we are winning the race, and as you can see on my slides, basically the product we take to the market is the .ke against this other competition. And that's why we are really grateful to all of you registrars from the board perspective, from KeNIC perspective. If you can see my slides, that's my small introduction. My name is Kimathi Kamunde. I'm first and foremost a domain registrar, just like the majority of you listening to me here. I'm a direct member, and also I sit at the board of KeNIC. So I really want to welcome you and tell you that the board is really keen to creating an environment and an ecosystem that will be able to grow your business. I requested Joel that I spend like 2 minutes just basically to put you up to speed to a few of the things that I face as a registrar in the markets, and basically the positives, so that if there's anyone out there, any registrar who is probably feeling stressed due to this pandemic and the downward trend of businesses, you can take screenshot because we don't have much time. These are a few of the reasons why anybody would choose a .ke. So as you go to the market as a registrar, there's a few of the aspects that you should be pitching to your potential clients, the registrants. The pricing, we are pretty affordable. Availability, for example, if you want to look for a domain like hotel.com, it's very difficult to get that domain. But if you're looking for hotel.info.ke, rest assured that domain is probably there, and many more. Search engine ranking, anyone who is looking for your business or the registrant's business and they're based in Kenya, give them these reasons to buy our .ke. Quick propagation, unique identity that we are Kenyan. Our registry, the uptime is actually records. And if you want to believe this, look at safaricom.co.ke, look at eCitizen. Our registry hosts some of the top organizations in this country, and you all know. And finally, at the bottom of my slide, we are all stakeholders in this .ke, so let's promote it. Let's take this as a serious business. And as I said, I'm talking both as a board member and as a registrar. For me, I've taken .ke as my bread and butter. I've taken it to the next level. And the point I want all of us to note is that as you grow your ecosystem as a registrar, your business, whether it's web design, it's all a game of numbers. For you to win in these very lean times, and especially with us confronting COVID, let's go for numbers. And to not, of course, forget to loop in something that I know the Secretariat will be talking about. Try and bring in the aspect of resellers. I've had this conversation with a few registrars before, when some ask me how I do it. And the way to reach as many people as possible is try and go and create resellers below you so that you widen your tentacles, okay? Because you can earn 100% of your own effort, but you'll earn more by earning 1% of 100 people, of 1,000 people. So the more resellers you can incorporate in your business, the more money you can make. And I know there are a few registrars, just to mention a few: TrueHost, Deep Africa, Kenya Web Experts, Global Internet Fortunes, and many other registrars that have embodied this aspect of resellers, and they are going places. And of course, the other aspect is service bundling. Bundle your web design with a domain, SSL, show them internet and marketing, SEO, support, all that kind of thing. It will put you it will give you the slight edge so that you're able to increase your business on a daily basis. And of course, finally, as I end, the renewals will come in easy if you do all these things, especially if you are able to bundle up your services, okay? Offer all the items, all the services that you think you're able to handle. And that way, renewals, which is a key issue I know that we'll be talking about, will come in pretty easy and quick. And of course, offer them incentives, probably on renewals, maybe like free SSL, I know many people are offering SSLs, okay? And finally, as I end, I want to speak to these figures. I picked 3 countries in Africa. And the fact that I'm also in marketing, I would really wish that all of us as registrars go for our mantra, a .ke for every Kenyan. I don't see why we cannot hit the figures being done by South Africa in terms of domain numbers. I don't see why we cannot surpass Nigeria and do even much better, because Kenya is a techie hub. So if we cannot encompass this mantra at .ke for every Kenyan, I believe we will have over 40 million domains, okay? And with those numbers, what will it create? Ease of marketing. We will be known in the markets, higher retention. I believe prices would come down if we're able to bring in numbers, because there will be what we call the aspect of being able to meet all our overheads by the literal profits we are making from all the millions of domains we bring in. And of course, our registry, just as it is today, will be among the very best in Africa. And we wish that we get better and better. So my final call to all of the registrars and even our secretariats is let's embody a winning attitude. We have a fantastic secretariat led by the CEO, the marketing manager, the ICT departments, and fantastic board membership that are willing to support you, the registrars. So with that, I thank you very much for everything that you're doing out there as our foot soldiers to sell and to market the .ke and to put KeNIC at the forefront. Thank you very much and enjoy the meeting. Thank you, Joel.
Thank you very much, Kamunde, for that very insightful, just setting the stage of where our business and how our business looks like. I think those are keywords that everyone in this business always, I think, has a sleepless night on how to get their business going. So thank you very much, and I think we'll refer to that presentation as we go later into the conversation. So part of the agendas, and I don't want this to be a heavy KeNIC driven agenda. I'd like to give as much time to the participants to air their views and where they see that we should be working from. So a couple of things I'll present, which will just start off the conversation. Then we see how to grow from there. So the first thing I want to put on my screen is just a second, let me just share. Okay, so I believe you can all see my screen. So when I came into office, one of the things that I wanted to find out is how our registrars are performing and what are the challenges. So we sent out a survey, I think close to the end of last year, and we got some feedback early this year. We had about 54 respondents who we asked a couple of questions on their experience with KeNIC. And as you can see, I'll not go through each and every detail, but you can see the kind of questions that were asked, the rating of your overall experience, your account manager, are they supportive? Is the IT department supportive? Is the finance supportive? And then how can we assist you in terms of marketing and go to market? So those were sort of like the ratings that we got, but on an overall, the performance was not good. So we achieved a 54% rating, while one of our KPIs is to be at least at 75%. So then we took out this into certain questions that were open-ended as well, and you give us your comments on what you'd like to see. So I'll just take you to the end of this. So as I said, we achieved a customer satisfaction score of 54%. But there were areas that you asked, and I wanted just to present some of the areas that we've currently actioned. One was value proposition as opposed to .com. So as the registry, we've now gone digital in terms of our advertising, and I hope you're all clued into some of the activities that we're doing. Some of you also have been joining us in some of the webinars that we have today. So from a marketing perspective, there are a couple of things that are in there. We're trying to create more awareness of the brand. So .ke, because that as a registry is our role, and then support you, the registrars, in terms of now ensuring that you close the sales that you want to do that. We also then introduced a marketing line for support of registrars, and some of you have approached us, and we've also supported you in terms of the campaigns that you're doing. The other question was also familiarization with your account manager. We redid a reshuffle of our account managers, and I believe they've reached out to you and are consistently meeting up with you. From a technical perspective, there was a reseller integration into the registry. At the moment, the business model is that the resellers sit under the registrar, but some had said, can they sit on their own? Now we have a process where if you want to become a registrar, there's a number of touch points that you need to hit before we can make you a registrar. For example, you must be more than 10 domains under your account, and then other things like your tax compliance, your licensing from CA. So at the moment, this model still sits under the registrars, and even as Kamunde has mentioned, it looks like it's working so far. But if there are requests, and we want to hear if there are requests on how this can be improved, we are more than happy to be done. People had asked for more trainings to be done. The NSEC training, we've kicked this off. We did a first cohort of this, and we want to now propagate this a bit more. Again, because of COVID, there are challenges as to how many people we could invite, but the next phases of this, I'm sure all of you will be involved at one time or the other. Reminder emails to the registrars. I think this is happening. And now we have even now gone a further step where we shall be doing SMS reminders to you as we go along. So this is one of the initiatives that the marketing team has taken up. You had asked for more technical support. We've now instituted a 24-hour support, and I hope this is working for you. Deleted domains to be shared with the registrars. This currently is report availed on request, but at the back end, we're having discussions as to how this can then be done on a more robust and transparent option. So that is one of the things that is under our project plan. So in technical, I think we are doing pretty good now. We've taken some of your views on board, and we have actually kicked off a lot of these things. When it comes to finance, integrate registry with M-Pesa, I think this is now happening, and we are doing well on that. Right? Allow domain registrations and renewals on credit. Currently, at the moment, we don't have a credit policy. I think that is one of the things that was sort of like non-negotiable on our end. I think we will continue with that policy as we go along. There was an issue of regulating of the price of domains, and I'll comment that in a different conversation as we go along. Long delays in terms of during renewal. Renewals are automated, so I think that is an issue that has been sorted. Discount rates on renewals to be given. We did a discount promotion in Q1 of this year, and I'll give you some of the results of how that then panned out at the end of the day. And then price of domains to be lowered and equivalent in terms of registrations and renewals. And we shall discuss a pricing discussion as we go along today. So in a nutshell, basically looking at what you asked us to do, I think we are 90+% on achieving some of those requirements. And we continue on a day-to-day basis asking ourselves how more we can be innovative in ensuring that our registrars are happy with the services that we're given. So I'll just like to stop there in terms of the survey. And if there are any questions, I'll ask my moderators if there's any hand up or a question that we can answer at this moment in time, or do we go ahead? All right, so I see a hand up from Brenda. Can we give Brenda an opportunity to just ask a question? Landy. Just give us a sec as Brenda, then Daniel. We'll take 2 questions, then we'll move on. Brenda Mushila. Okay. Brenda,
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Brenda. Karibu.
Hi, Joel. How are you?
Yeah, thank you. Fine.
And hi to the team as well. Joel, I think this is really commendable. You're really doing a good job. We haven't had a chance to interact, but I think this is really, really good. Now, my comment was on the credit policy, and I'd like to request that if you can, I would really wish that you rethink that. My reason is the current payment integration that is in place is not working. I don't know if it's just me or I happen to be unlucky, but every time I'm trying to top up, there's always a problem, especially with the other methods of payment that have been provided, like Airtel, like Easy Pay on Equity, like Visa. So the only thing that works is M-Pesa, and that might not be feasible all the time. So I think that's something. I even wrote to you an email. I haven't received your response on that, but I wrote you an email a few days ago about the same. The payment portal is really failing us. So if you can consider a credit policy for those periods where we really need to register a domain urgently and we are not able to actually top up by no fault of our own, then we should be able to at least register that domain. And one of the things I wanted to propose was that you can be able to even vet registrars, you know, and ask people to give probably their books of accounts. And then if someone qualifies for credit, then you can extend the credit to those registrars. I think that's something you really need to reconsider. So 2 issues for me.
All right, thank you, Brenda. Thank you for the kind words and your comments on the credit policy. I've taken that under advisory, and I'll comment a bit later, and also about our integration in terms of payments. I think Hilda will also just give some updates, but we've noted those concerns, and we'll give some comments, especially on the credit policy. I'll ask Daniel. Daniel?
Hello. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello.
Daniel.
Oh, hi. So thanks a lot for creating this forum. I'm from Lex Registration, and my background is that I'm a lawyer, and we deal with a lot of .ke disputes. And I know there's a dispute resolution process, but unlike many other dispute resolutions, it's not very clear exactly how the operational aspects work of it. Also, if there is a decision, whether that can be published on the website. I know South Africa do it, and a lot of other country codes do that. So it creates a precedent base for the people that have issues. And currently, the dispute resolution seems a bit more informative than actually practical. So I was just wondering what you can do about that. And then one other aspect as well, on the previous person, when they commented regarding payment and the credit terms, I think credit is a good way to go. We're accredited in nearly all CCTLDs around the world and new GTLDs. So we support like over 1,000. And the accreditation process is really intended to create an element of trust, in that you've accredited a particular company because you trust them. They've gone through an authentication process, you have an agreement with them, and as such, they should be trusted that they pay. If they don't pay on time, then you could suspend their account, hand over their domain names to another registrar. So I think that should be looked at, because sometimes if there are payment failures, it frustrates the registration process. If we cannot add credit, then it can cause some problems for our clients and resellers. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. Again, thank you for putting up your hand and sharing this. I see you've also just mentioned the same on the chat. I think on the part of dispute resolution, in my time, I know we've had a couple of cases, but they've never gone the full length, because I think that the participants have then come to an agreement. So we've not had, maybe can I say, an opportunity maybe to publish what the results were, because then...
Hi, Sorry to interrupt. I just want to say on that point, I think a lot of the settlements have arisen because of the doubt they have about receiving a proper decision, because there hasn't been a proper decision as yet. And I think a lot of people are wary of it, and they regard it as high risk. So they would rather settle and make a payment. We want to create the impression that you can't squat on KE domains, and if you do, you're going to face the wrath of the law. And I think currently trademark owners are very scared when it comes to Kenya.
Okay. Yeah, and I totally agree with Daniel. I think there's also the process of the fact that, and I'm not going to bash anyone, but I don't know how good our current trademark registry is. So sometimes we also face challenges where someone comes claiming that I am the owner of this. I've registered it with whatever body that is, whether it's at registration or even at KIPI in terms of trademarks. But then thereafter, there's no final conclusion to that. So Daniel, if you'll allow me, we can take that under advisory, where we will review our dispute resolution process and our policy. And then maybe we can get views from the members here, how best we can improve that so that it's transparent and it's something that people feel that they can get solutions out of that. So I may not have the right answer now, but I think that's something we can take up.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right. On the payments, yes. And just to Brenda's comment again, in terms of credit, I think, yes, once you're accredited, I think that's a level of trust that we've already engaged with in terms of us and you. And in that way, then we're able to give you some an added advantage being an accredited person. And I know I have received from some of the registrars requests for credit, maybe 1 or 2 days. I couldn't load my account over the weekend and the domain is expiring. So I think it's, again, something that we need to relook at in terms of our credit policy, and we could share our views. And also, this is something that also, because it's a policy that is looked at board, we could actually come back with some views on how that looks like. For me, the key thing is that the community is asking for these things, and it's our work to entertain and see where possible we can do that. So again, to Brenda and Daniel, on the credit policy and payment terms, that has been taken under advisory, and I hope that then we will come back to you with some solutions on how to improve on the same. So I don't know if there are any questions in the Q&A. Trying to open. Okay, so I'll go into the next section, then we'll come back to the Q&A once I get my sharing in order. So the second bit that we wanted to present was, I'll just stop share this and just move to the next one. So you're all aware that we've had a registrar agreement which you signed, which also speaks to what Daniel and Brenda have spoken about, which is what you sign with us as an accreditation when you're kicking off the relationship with KeNIC, and that you've decided that you want to have the domain business with the registrar. So this has been in force probably 10+ years, but we looked at the current marketplace and what is happening, and some of the conditions that are coming up, especially from the Data Protection Act. And then also we have been challenged a bit also by ICANN in terms of the reliability of our WHOIS accuracy. So we've gone on a journey of looking at the agreement, and I will not go through the full agreement, and we can share that with you. Some of you were involved in giving feedback because we shared out. Some gave feedback, some we didn't get, and we can redo this process by just sharing it again. But I just picked out the key highlights of the registrar agreement that were there. So I'll share my screen. Sorry. Okay, so I hope you can see my screen. So these were some of the changes that we picked up that we want to institute in the new agreement. And this then, with your permission as registrars, we can sign that off as the document we shall be using. So there was an aspect of signatures, which is just a compliance issue. There was no table of content. We had not stated which were the extensions that we have. We had not stated the registrar accreditation process, which now we've included there. We have also added the process of registrar to change accreditation details and what documents need to be submitted if they want to make those changes. Process to follow in case of accreditation is suspended or terminated. I think we had not highlighted that as well. Information or to registrars to comply with KeNIC policies. So we'll also share some of the KeNIC policies that we have that are specific to registrars. We want to institute an aspect of details about resellers. This is purely because of the WHOIS data that we are currently getting. We find that the resellers are going out and selling, but the data we are getting at the end of the day is the resellers' data. So if there's a dispute, then we really can't find the person with the dispute or how this was registered. So this is an area we want to be very critical about. It leads into point 9, which is about data privacy and aspects of the Data Protection Act. So for those of you who have engaged with the Data Protection Act, you're aware that some of us, such as KeNIC, shall be data processors. So we shall be called upon by the Data Commissioner's Office to give more information or to safeguard the information that we have. So there, then the WHOIS policy does come into play in terms of how much data we have and is the information right. We also had not put in aspects around the fees, and this will be well documented in the document. And as Daniel has mentioned, the dispute resolution policy is highlighted, which was not there. But then as per today's conversation, maybe we need to take that out for a minute and just agree what the registrars would like to see in terms of a dispute resolution policy. So these are the changes that are there from a registrar agreement perspective. I know many of you may have not looked at the new document or the old document. So if there are any questions, I can take one or two on views around the agreement. And is the agreement creating an enabling environment for you, or is it stifling your business? What else would you like to see? So maybe one or two comments, if there are any. So I'll check again on the forum if there are any hands up or comments on that. I'm allowing for anyone to put up their hand, or if they're happy, we can. Is there? All right, so I think that the action from us here is to circulate the registrar agreement document to all of you, just for one more, we call it public participation. And if there are any challenges that you may see that we've not captured, please give us feedback and let us include them so we make this agreement as robust as possible for us and for future trading in the business. Okay. So I'll move on to the next update. I'll stop share. All right, so I see on the chat some people asking for a Corona discount and pricing. That is the next conversation I'm coming to. Maybe let me just quickly go through the chat to see if there are questions that we can answer. I see from Daniel, you've talked about generating of invoices from the portal. I think Hilda may make a comment on that. Then I see Michael Musia talking about, instead of having deleted domains on request, just publish them on a page. It's something that we've been considering. Obviously, then it's something that we also need just to look at in terms of how do we do that so that everyone has a fair chance to see that information. Is it compliant with data protection? So it's something that we've been considering, and I think, Michael, you will see a response to that very shortly in terms of the way forward on that. John Lado is talking about second level .ke pricing is 5 times the third level. Most inquiries end up getting a third level or GTLD. We have a pricing review, so I'll make comments on that shortly. Simon, on the technical team on propagation, I think this is currently 0 to 3 hours. Can we reduce this to a few minutes? Joe Marwa is going to come on board from a technical highlight, and I'll ask him to give some comments on the process that the team is going through on that. Evans is talking about propagation again. Michael, again on the deletion conversation. So again, we'll give you some comments around the deletion and how you can get information on what is being deleted. Propagation. Okay, so it's a lot about propagation. All right, so I'll go to the next conversation, which was around our domains and extensions. So currently today we have 9 extensions. The best performing obviously is .co.ke because a lot of people then put that as the company domain that they want to use in terms of extensions. We have others which we feel are not moving as much. Obviously, government has its specifications. SC for schools and AC for universities have their specifications, and those are moving. There are 2 that we've noted, which is .ne.ke, which I think was more categorized towards NE was more of networks, and Mobi was more for mobile related engagements. Since we launched these extensions, the registry only has 52 under .ne and 43 under .mobi. And in the last 6 months or 7 months, we've only managed to register 3 for NE and 10 for .mobi. So at the back of our mind, and the marketing team was asking, are these extensions that are required? Are they things that as you as registrars are able to sell? Do we still need them? Or it's something that we can consider retiring and looking for more extensions that maybe your marketplace has asked you for that we have not yet offered? So this is just an open conversation in terms of extensions. Based on what you're currently seeing in your marketplace, are there suggestions of different extensions that we can institute and grow? So that was just an open aspect on it. But to add on to that, there's another aspect which is so we'll call them dormant registrations, but again we also have dormant registrars. So I'll then put something on the screen again for a minute. Then you can agree or not agree with me. As I said, this is an open discussion. So if you're seeing what is on the screen today, and I've just taken an analysis of the last 8 months, 8 months to September, this is how our business looks like. We currently have 228 registrars. Out of that, 157 handle only between 0 and 9 domains. So in my analysis, 71 registrars are contributing to 70% of our business. And on the other hand, only 30% of our registrars are really active. And I guess those are the ones in this call today. So how do we move forward? Because I need to spread my business. I like that we have many registrars, but are they contributing towards the business and what we are trying to achieve? As Mr. Kamunde showed in the first slide, Kenya is on 100,000 domains. We are 3rd in the continent. If you look at the massive growth of South Africa, 1-point-something million. Nigeria, I know, has moved over 100,000. So at one point it was Kenya. Now we are 3rd, and other registries are also growing. So my view is that we need these registrars, but the registrars also need to pull their weight in terms of giving us numbers, so that accreditation actually makes sense. It doesn't make sense for me to always report that I have 228 registrars to my board, but the amount of registrations I'm getting are very few. Give or take statistics that I have from the marketplace is you have about 1 million plus registered companies in Kenya, but we only have 100,000 domains. So are all these other guys on other forums or other platforms? And how can we bring them back to be patriotic to our country? So I was just putting this out there to you guys to just say, yes, we have a good list of registrars, but the number who are pulling their weight are actually buckling under the weight. And for me, I'm pressuring them to do more. So how can we move this differently? Or do we now deregister some who are not active and keep the ones who are active? Because then I showed in the other report that I have now put some marketing budget to support registrars. So do I only concentrate on the 71 and ensure that they're growing, or how do we treat this? So at that point, I'll stop and just take a few comments. If there are any in the chat room, I'd like to hear what people's views are in terms of these numbers that I have just presented. Again, I'll just check if there's anyone on the chat or on comments. The floor is open, guys. Any views? Comments? All right, Brenda again, I'll ask Annie.
Joel, this is,
yes, Brenda.
It's very interesting. At the risk of giving an unpopular view, I heard you mention about a registrar and reseller structure. I don't know how that works. Maybe you could explain. But my thinking is, maybe it's time to keep the registry lean, you know? Consider having registrars who are doing upwards of 50 domains, you know, and have them as registrars, and then have probably the rest of us as resellers under those registrars. And then I think it'll make marketing efforts much more targeted, and there'll be more push, you know, some sort of distributor sort of model, you know. Yeah, that would be my take.
All right, thank you, Brenda. Exactly what you've said at the back end of your conversation is what a reseller is. So it's sort of like a distributor model where the registrar has people on the ground who go and look for the domains, but since the reseller is not accredited by KeNIC, they then register their domains through a registrar. So it's you having more foot soldiers on the ground who then give you the critical mass, and you as a registrar, since we know you as a registry, then we allow you to register on behalf of those. So that is
no, that is clear. What I wanted to understand is it something that has been incorporated on the KeNIC portal such that resellers can be able to have a section on their own where they can log in as resellers and then be able to resell the domains? Or how exactly does it work? Is it once you have resellers, then the resellers are, it's between you and the registrar? How is KeNIC involved?
So at the moment, it's exactly as you've said, it's between the registrar and the reseller. Within our registry portal, we don't recognize the reseller. We only recognize the registrar. So the registrar is one who goes out and lists resellers, but the resellers have to come through him or her to register the domain. So that's the current registry setup.
Okay, okay. So my proposal was have registrars who probably have more than 50 or even more than 100 domains, and then have resellers. But now, if there was a way of having resellers still log into the portal through the registrar, of course, each registrar should be responsible for their own portal and how they give out their passwords. But if there's a way that the resellers can also be able to register directly through the resellers can be able to register directly through the registrar on the portal, then that would be, fantastic.
So there've been considerations on how to accommodate resellers. Obviously, then that would be a conversation we have with our developer of the platform. But at the moment, because of the numbers we had with registrars, we felt that that model works best. That then, as we know the registrar, and then the registrar then deals with the resellers, because then you'd find that you have quite a number of resellers who log into the platform, but also don't have critical mass. And I see John has also mentioned the same in the chat, talking about 10. Yes, 10 was the minimum. Sorry, we increased it to 20. And because we increased it to 20, because then we felt that if you want to become a registrar, we want you to sit in the area of the 10 to 49, at least at a minimum. Because then 0 to 9, which is the 10 we had before, was not moving as much. So the 10 to 49 was the area we wanted to have more people there. Now that obviously, if you see the numbers again, it's a bit of a challenge, but it's where there's a lot of potential, where someone is coming saying, I have 20 domains and I want to do that, and I want to do this business more. So Brenda, yes, there's conversation around how do we accommodate resellers, but at the moment, the model allows for the registrar to be the one to deal with the resellers, and as we accredit the registrar. Now, why is that another reason? And it will also answer John's question about what conditions. As a registrar, you have certain conditions that you have to fulfill with the Communications Authority. You have to get a license from them, which is, I think you have to pay 10,000 shillings. You have to have all your PIN certificate, KRA, all those things in place. Now we find some of our resellers don't have that in place at the moment, so they cannot qualify to be a registrar. So again, that is a challenge that our resellers face, and that's why they choose to go through a registrar who has gone through the whole accreditation process, either through us, not either, through us, then through CA. So I think that is a challenge that we face there. So that's why the resellers then choose to go under the umbrella of someone who's already. I hope that sort of like gives a sort of like a clear line. John as well. So the subject conditions is actually subject conditions to fulfill CA's licensing conditions. That is what I meant by subject to conditions. But our minimum at the moment is 20. It was 10, but we moved it to 20. Right. I see Fiona is on charts. Another challenge in regards to who is accuracy other than resellers is employees who have registered on behalf of the company. Fine-tuning of the data is difficult to registrars with automatic online system. We totally agree. And that's the kind of a conversation now we want to start having is how do we, what are those mandatory fields that if you want to register, then what are the mandatory fields that you need to have to be able to say that you have accurate who is. So again, with the Data Commissioner's Office, those are some of the conversations that we are about to start having once they get the commissioner on board as to what they expected of us as a data processor and what we can offer. Wycliffe, you talk about, are you confirming that now you'll delist entities with less than 20 domains? We are not confirming that at the moment. We're putting it out there. In other jurisdictions, I think this is already happening. So we are also asking ourselves, should we have this long list of 228, or should we have 71 who I can support better? So I'm leaving this to the community to also come back to me with their views as part of the registrar agreement on how we want to progress on that. So it's not an answer it's not a decision for now, but it's open. It's one of the things that is open on our table at the moment. I'll ask then to put Fred, Landy, Fred, can you hear us? Fred? Fred?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much for this session. We appreciate actually the team and the CEO and also the registrars. So mine is accommodation. I want to commend KeNIC for what you have been doing. Sometimes it's easier to maybe spot a challenge because we've been registrar for the last 10 years and I have seen KeNIC grow. So for the last few months, we have seen amplified public awareness, especially on the matters related to cyber security. So that is a plus for you. Security on the portal, the registrar's portal, especially on the two-factor authentication, which is also a plus. And also, personally, as a company, we have experienced some support, good support, especially from our county manager, where he's able to follow up at individual level on how we are doing, how the business is performing, especially in the midst of the COVID-19, which is also, strengthened on the part of support. We are going to support your growth as registrars, so that we can be able to realize that kind of growth that you anticipate. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Thank you for the kind words. I think it's work in progress. We continue to support this key ecosystem of ours and our key stakeholders. So we'll continue to support where possible. I have two very quick, and I'll not dismiss them as quick, two issues that I want to bring up, which are one, pricing. I know this has been questioned quite a bit, and I want to assure our registrars, and if there are registrants on this forum, that KeNIC is looking at this quite critically. The board has asked me to give them a proposal on pricing, which will be discussed at our Q4 board meeting for approval for 2021. So I will be coming back to you on suggestions of pricing. I know everyone has a view on where pricing should be. We've gotten some statistics from our regional partners on how they're charging. Funny enough, it doesn't look as bad. Obviously, our .ke, which is second level, is a bit expensive, and we accept that. And that is one of the recommendations we've taken on board, and you will see definitely a change in that level. The other bit was on renewals. We are one of those registries that is unique, that our registration and renewal prices are different. Again, that has been taken in under advisory. We had tried to do some research on the same in Q1, where we reduced our renewal fee to be equivalent to the registration fee. Unfortunately, the performance of that promotion was not felt. We didn't feel the impact that despite the fact that we reduced, people still maintained the renewals that they need to be. So again, we have data now that we can work with. We'll still reach out to you guys in terms of data, but be rest assured that definitely the price conversation is happening at the highest levels, and before the end of this year, we shall have, what we are planning is to have a long-term pricing policy that cuts across a couple of years, so that we don't have to be going back and forth, but we also make sure that our registrars are making some good living out of it, and our registrants are getting the right price for the right product they want. Obviously, there will be conversations around a recommended retail price, which then we will ask the registrars, once we agree on the pricing, that they cannot go on above. That brings me to point 2, which is, at the moment, as a registry, we've seen some aspects that we are a bit concerned about. And I know there's not much we can do at the moment, but this is about the pricing models that some of the registrars have taken out. I'm seeing some areas where domains are going for less than what they've bought from the registry. You see rates of 399, 499. I know this is this is a business model that people have chosen, obviously, to get people into their business and upsell other services. But it sort of like creates a perception that I am selling different domains to different people, which I'd like to assure everyone that that is not the case. The registry is calibrated to one rate, and that is what everyone buys as one rate. Now, the choice that someone has taken to change the pricing as their marketing model, I may not have control of that, but I think we need to be fair to each other within the marketplace as to how we can help. I've seen some registrars actually saying, why should I buy from the registry while I can buy from someone who's giving at a cheaper rate? So some of those concerns are bringing up some integrity issues. And that's why we are very keen on looking at a pricing that is long lasting for everyone. So I think the challenge is on us to all agree this business is to help each other. I know everyone is in it for business, but obviously we must also be cognizant of the message we are sending out to the marketplace. And obviously some people do call me and ask me, but I saw this domain for this amount, someone is selling for this amount. Who is the right person, who is the wrong person? And I can't answer. The only thing I can answer is it's a business model that someone has chosen. So these are certain challenges that we are facing now. These are coming to my desk. I'm dealing with them. But as a community, we need to agree on a way forward. So I think by the time we get the pricing policy in place, we will need to have some better rules as to how people will sell their domains and how they'll market. Hopefully that will be a conversation that will be open as long as everyone is willing to see the end goal of which is one, doing business, but also the growth of domains in the country. So those were my two other discussions. And before I just hand over to my other team who will make very brief comments, I'll just look at some of the comments that are there. Yes, Nikuj Shah, the pricing of second level is high, and we are looking at that, and we want to be more competitive, both with our neighbors and globally. So that is an aspect that we are taking up immediately. Yes, Johan, there is an issue of the higher renewal fees have less intake. And again, I have mentioned, we tried to look at what the pricing would look like. And I've seen some comments of people saying that might not be real because of COVID. But I also want to be a bit cheeky by saying this was before COVID. Q1 was January to March. I think March is when the COVID pandemic struck. So it was before that. But again, also within COVID, we've seen that people are trying to do well. So again, we've taken that as an advisory, but our main focus should be looking at how do we have a long-lasting price that everyone is happy with. I see Francis. So John, yes, there was COVID, but this was slightly before COVID, maybe tail end of the promotion is when we started feeling some of the COVID effects. But we will look at that in terms of putting a matching between the registration and renewal price. I'll look at Francis's comment. I'd like to look at the low numbers as achievement. As COVID did hit businesses, our main focus should be on challenge on how the low performance register more clients as they maintain existing clients. So yes, Francis, as I've said, from our registry, we, as a marketing support, where we can help you lock in more clients, let us know. We are more than happy to support where possible. Obviously, COVID has hit, and we've also seen the impact within the registry. So the numbers are not as we had expected, but we continue to help where possible. And I know some of the people on this forum have seen some of the support, and we will continue to do that. So for me, those are my few remarks in terms of the areas that I just wanted to update the community on. And I'm looking for more engagement in terms of how do we solve some of these challenges that we have. So I'll hand over to, is Joe Marwa there? Just to give us 2 minutes of any technical highlights that he may have.
For opportunity. I wish to thank everyone who's been able to attend. My name is Joe Mara from KeNIC Technical Department. And as technical department, we're in charge of the infrastructure. As Kamunde mentioned, we try and maintain an uptime of 99% of the registry system. So technical department is in charge of that, the network infrastructure and all the information systems. Apart from that, we also do technical support for internal team and external team. You've seen the customer satisfaction survey that was done, Joel shared with it. We will be running more of that. You can gauge us on how we're performing in terms of technical support. Apart from that, there's a main role that we're in charge of is capacity building, and we do various capacity building programs. Most recently, we did a DNSSEC training. We invited all registrars and the local community that are running DNS infrastructure for the DNS training. We were disappointed not to get a large number, but we scored 20 participants who were trained for 1 week, and they are all certified now as DNSSEC. We're going to be running more of the trainings, and we hope that we're going to get more participation. Still on capacity building, in collaboration with the marketing team, we've been running a series of webinars on various technical and non-technical topics. So this is just to reach out to the bigger non-technical community and be able to preach the gospel of DNS and what it entails. The other main highlight I would like to mention is there's a project that has been running, or rather we're in the process of launching. It's called the CDRS. This is the Centralized Domain Registration Service. And the purpose of this is to allow registrants straight from our portal to be able to register a domain, select a registrar, select the package that they need, and just see the customer journey end from beginning to end. Perhaps as registrars, you can give us your opinions and your thoughts on the CDRS. This is not breaking the current registrar model. We're introducing a reseller model, but it's just trying to finish the customer journey. The other major thing that we're able to achieve this year is upgrading of the registry system. I'm sure a few of you have mentioned about it. The purpose was just to improve security of the system, improve functionality, and we're able to do that. Fred has mentioned that we introduced two-factor authentication, which I know a lot of users are not familiar or do not appreciate the hassle of having to do the two-step factor authentication, but it's a security feature that is just meant to ensure that our registry is more secure. So we would encourage you to be open-minded about it. The other major feature that in the upgrade was basically introducing notifications. Notifications with the current upgrade, it allows you to either opt in or opt out of the notifications. And as the CEO mentioned, Mr. Joel, we are moving on to bulk SMS. We'll be in the process of integrating bulk SMS with the registry system, but at the same time, we'll have an option to opt in or opt out of the notifications. So the purpose of opting in or opting out is that it might probably be filling up your email box. And at some point, I know sending too many emails, also IP addresses might be blocked, and we might have a challenge reaching you guys. So that's why we have the option of opting in and opting out. The other major thing I might mention is that for the trainings that I've mentioned that we'll be doing, we'd like you guys to be more involved and have interest in the trainings that we're doing. As KeNIC, we are very keen on capacity building in the community, and we are doing more than just DNS. We're in partnership with Afrinic and ISOC. We're trying to see even those gaps in IPv6 implementation where we can step in as KeNIC. And these are conversations we're willing to have, and we'd like to engage registrars and the bigger internet community in Kenya in terms of growth and what capacity gaps are there, and where we can come in as KeNIC. So I think I can take in questions. I saw a question about password reset option. So we're in the process of doing some patching and upgrades to the registry system. So that has been taken under consideration. I think this was asked on the Q&A. Yeah, about having a password reset option. So we'll take that into consideration and advise on it. 2FA, can see John that is asking. Yeah, we had enabled it, but we got a bit of a complaint from a lot of users, so we disabled it, and we're in the process of reviewing. So as I said, we can take input from you guys about what you feel about the two-factor step authentication.
Thank you very much, Joe. As anyone prepares their questions, I'll invite Hilda from Finance just to give some brief highlights. Put questions on the chat.
Okay, afternoon, everyone. So for me, I think my points are based on 3 points, which majorly the first one was on pricing, where the CEO has dealt with it and has given the proper explanations in detail, so I won't dwell on it very much. My second point was on the recent changes that happened with KRA, that was last year. And I think some of the registrars present today, we have interacted with you either through calls or emails advising on the same, because either on our side or on your side, you have received emails from KRA indicating the inconsistencies in the VAT filings. So probably what I want to bring to our attention is that the invoicing process in the registry system is automated, whereby each and every sale is identified as a single sale and is allocated a unique invoice number and a date. And majorly what has been highlighted from the reports we've been receiving from KRA between the returns that we make and the returns that the registrars make is it's due to filing with either different invoice numbers, filing with different dates, filing with different amounts. That is, on a particular month, a registrar made sales probably worth of 50,000. These sales came in separate invoices. When it comes to this particular system, you're not supposed to lump these sales as one return, but report and file each invoice as a single invoice. So probably I'll want to encourage our registrars to follow the indications that have been given by the Revenue Authority to make sure that we don't receive these inconsistencies. Then on the last point is on the billing part, whereby we have received several complaints from several registrars, whereby they've been trying to make payments and their payments have been failing, and they have been forced to either write to us or call us to do the payments manually. And this has been specifically been on M-Pesa and iPay payments. And on M-Pesa, we have contacted the merchant, whereby he has confirmed that 90% of the failed transactions happen due to client code error, whereby when you're trying to pay using the mobile channel, through the paybill channel, and you are required to input your client code. Let's say, for example, your client code is KNC. Majority of the registrars have been putting space before KNC, whereby space to the particular merchant is recognized as a number. So for each and every case which has failed due to that particular error, we have contacted the specific registrars and advised them on the way forward. The next error that you are told as to why this particular M-Pesa messages might fail, it's due to network fluctuations. And those ones, unfortunately for now, we might not have control on, but we try as much as possible to make the relevant credits within the acceptable time. And on the next payment channel, which is the iPay payments, which I think, Brenda, you are referring to this particular merchant, whereby you are trying to pay either through Airtel, EasyPay, iPay wallets. We have taken note of that particular challenge, and we will take it up with the developer and the merchant in concern, and we'll give feedback on the same. However, the 90% of the payments that usually fail through this particular merchant, which is iPay, 90% of them it's due to a restricted permission on Visa payments, whereby when you try to pay using the Visa option through iPay, your card is declined simply because your bank has not given authorization for this particular card to pay through that particular merchant. But we have tried on every case that we have received. We have contacted the particular registrar and tried to sort the same issue. then 10% of the failed transactions through that particular merchant, they were reported to be due to network fluctuations. However, maybe I might want to notify our registrars that we're in the process of automating our banking deposits, which are the EFTs, the RTGSs, and the cash deposits, whereby we are looking forward to a more efficient channel, whereby you'll be required to simply pay through the bank, and it will take the banking times for that particular amount to reflect in your account, as opposed to how it's happening now, whereby you deposit and you're required to send the slips to us to do it manually. Otherwise, from finance, those are the only updates I have, and we are very much free to take up any questions as well as recommendations on how best we can improve our support to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Hilda. I'll ask Paris just to go through hers quickly. Then if any final questions, we'll have about 5 minutes. I'm cautious of the time that we had agreed until 4, and we don't take that time for granted. So Paris, quickly just go through yours.
Okay, thank you, Joel, sorry. I think much of the marketing function has been discussed already by Joel, but I would like to highlight on 3 key things. One is on account management. As mentioned before, we have tried to refine this function and to ensure that all registrars have an account manager. We have a very lean team internally, and it's possible that you do not have an account manager. As you have noticed, there are about 228 registrars. So if you by any chance we missed you out, kindly let us know so that we can give you an account manager. And the other thing is on marketing support. As mentioned again, there's a budget available for marketing support. And this, of course, something that had come out of the survey that we had done before. You had asked us that we find ways of supporting you so that you can grow your registrations. We have a budget line for that. And as your account managers engage you, please just take up that conversation and set up some targets of what you want to achieve. And then we'll be able just to extend that marketing support to you so that you're able to grow your domain numbers. And the other key thing that came out of the survey that we did sometime last year was that .ke is not known. And we have put out a number of activities to ensure that there's increased brand awareness. And one of those things that we did is to onboard a digital agency, a digital marketing agency. We've been working closely with them. I'm sure most of you have seen our communication on social media. So we are trying as much as possible as a marketing department to ensure that we're giving you the support that you need as a registrar to be able to carry on with this business. And in addition to that is also trying to push the brand out there by participating in events. As you may have realized, because of this current situations, we are not able to do any physical events. So we adopted what we currently brand as the KeNIC Talks. These are the webinars that have been happening for the last 4 or so months. We started back in June, I think so. So we've been running them a series of these events online. And as I'm glad to report that we have received some good mileage out of that. And therefore, we are committed as an organization and as a department to ensure that we give you all the support that you need. 2 things that I can quickly mention is that 1, we have a registrar award ceremony coming up. We should have had this earlier in the year, but of course we all understand what happened. But sometime next month, we should be able to do a virtual registrar award ceremony. So please, when you see the invite, attend, join, and see what happens. And then finally, we'll be rolling out a customer satisfaction survey so that you can also give us your feedback of what you've seen happen through the year and areas that you think we can improve on, not only as a marketing department, but also as a secretariat. That would be it, Joe. Thank you.
Thank you, Paris. Thank you, Hilda, and thank you, Joe. I think some of you may not know the people behind this great team and what they do and the numbers that we are getting. These are the people who keep us alive, they keep us moving. So thank you to all for the roles that they do. I see we have about 8 minutes. So before I close, maybe if there's one or two burning questions, someone wants to put up their hand. I see some of the questions have been responded to on the chat. If there's anyone, I'll take one that someone may want to put up their hand to comment or ask a question before I close. Okay, if there's none, then for me, I think Paris has mentioned the upcoming things. One is the waterman. Oh, sorry. Let's give Francis an opportunity. We can take that one, and I'll close. Francis? Francis? Francis, unmute yourself, please. Francis? Okay, I don't know. Are we able to? Francis, can you hear us? You can unmute yourself. We've given you permission to talk. Okay, sorry, it says he has a network issue. Maybe you can put it on the chat and we'll try and respond. So yes, mine is, as Paris has said, we have an award ceremony coming up in October. Again, this was supposed to be physical, but due to the conditions we have, we may have to do this virtually unless some good news comes out next week from the president in terms of how we can congregate. Other than that, as Joe has mentioned, we are looking at getting into the capacity building space more. So if you see an invite for training, by all means, feel free to log in, join. We have webinars that are happening, and we always want to hear from you in terms of how we can support. I've taken under advisory the issues around dispute resolution, the pricing. I'm sure Joe has picked up on the propagation and how we can deliver that a bit better. Hilda has mentioned aspects around our finance, and Brenda specifically, we shall respond into how we can support you more to ensure that your process is seamless. As an IT company and an innovative leader, we always want to be at the top of our game. So we want you to have the best relationship and the best customer experience with us. So we continue to engage and see where it's possible. I see Francis, I think you are saying you wanted to ensure you send the registrar agreement. Yes, we shall do that. So we shall share for everyone's comments, and then we shall close that particular topic. If there are no other conversations or topics, I don't know if Ms. Kamunde is still online as well. Kamunde?
Yes, I'm here, Joel. Yes, I'm here. I can hear you loud and clear.
Kindly give us some closing remarks as a board member and your commitment.
Okay. Thank you, Joel and team. This has been a very great meeting, the first ever since COVID struck, that we've been able to engage the registrars. And I believe from this point on, the registrars have seen that KeNIC is an open book. We are willing to engage, we are willing to listen to their sentiments and feedback. And I would suggest that we consider doing this more often, maybe twice a year. Besides the registrars award ceremony, we could maybe twice a year or once every quarter get to engage with the registrar so that they can give us their feel of the market. Because at the end of the day, they are the foot soldiers. They are the people that represent us in the field. and we feel honored to keep listening to them. And that will also break any barriers that there may be, and we'll continue to build a very open and transparent ecosystem. The board is doing their very, very best to ensure that the registrar's concerns are always addressed. And finally, I also want to thank the secretariats, the finance, HR, ICT, and definitely you, the CEO. Joel, you've done very well in the last couple of months that you've been around. And we can only look to being the top registrar in this continent in a couple of years with the support of the registrars. That's for me. I mean, that's all for me from now.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Kamunde. And thank you, everyone. Let's continue as taken. We shall continue to engage. We want to have more of these engagements, even outside your account managers. For those of you who've interacted, you know my office is very open. I have visited a couple of you. I know where your offices are, and we continue to engage. So we are more than happy to continue engaging. So thank you, everyone. Keep safe. I will now wear my mask again. And everyone, all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, and bye.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.